Greetings, my name is Rudimentary. Welcome back to my Trailmaker series. Today we're going to be wrapping up this playthrough of the Pioneers Trailmaker version 2.0 campaign. That's the word I was going for. So, get yourself comfy in some sort of a seat that is mobile and let's get on with the show. Now, at the start of this, I had a different starting point sort of picked out. Unfortunately, that was part of some footage that did not work. In fact, I ended up having to trash the whole thing completely. So apologies for that. We've got a bit of, probably an hour's worth of grinding, of which some of it was going to be part of this update. So apologies that isn't part of here. But I was able to recover the whole doing the running the gauntlet thing for Scooty here. Now this is out in the trenches, so this is part of the final area that you end up going to as part of the whole Trailmakers campaign for Pioneers. Scooty being the mildly annoying frogget that has these little challenges along the way. Well, this was the last of them. Now, I did okay with the flying, but I was struggling with my plane with tight turns. I was just losing a lot of speed, and it was taking me way longer than it should have. That said, though, I wasn't happy to leave it all in, because then that would have almost been an entire episode by itself. So just take it as read. We flew through all the circles, and after a lot of pain and suffering, we managed to get back to Scooty to hand that one in. So we're here. We have so I'm going to describe that as our frogget transport, airborne transport that we've been using to grind out the frogget missions. And at Cloudpoke, as you can see, we have all of the available power cores unlocked for Cloudpoke, and that is true for all of the other settlements throughout the playthrough here. And we're now doing the final step. So there's a teleport point that you get access to fairly early in the piece when you get up to this stage. And clicking here is just the quickest and easiest way to get here without having to spend fuel to get here. And we find ourselves up on this rather precarious overlook, and we have to check in with Master Sappo. Alright, the stage is set. Master Sappo says, look, we have to fly, and I'm not going to argue with that. The prospect of trying to walk around on lava is just not going to appeal to anyone, really. However, he has said, look, we've got to be able to get through some shields. Now, I had some reservations about that, because I haven't really tried to use the grenade launchers. Well, I have tried, but I haven't effectively used the grenade launchers from a flying vehicle. So, what we're going to do, we've dropped off 2 of the smart guns off each side and replaced them with grenade launchers. We have also removed our point defense kind of shields and replaced them with 2 of the large shield things. They provide a hemisphere of shielding, so 2 of them back to back will cover your whole, plane. Now we can see that, well, look, weapons test looks pretty successful. I'm feeling alright about all of this, so we're just going to sort of get a bit comfy here. Now, this plane with the extra wings underneath is designed to fly fairly slowly and still remain in the air. Now, the downside of that is that it is a bit twitchy, and it is a bit slow, which is not ideal for this particular mission. It's also not ideal because when I'm trying to make really tight turns, it does almost stall out, and yeah, that means stuff can lock onto me very effectively with rockets, and yeah, one rocket pretty much took us out regardless of what our shield status was. So there's some learning that we end up doing as part of our effort here with the final mega drill. Now the grenades weren't working because they just weren't locking on, and the reason for that is the range on them is quite short, and when we're flying around we need the benefit of some additional range so we can keep our distance. So at distance we don't have to turn as sharply, and that way we can maintain some more speed. Now here follows a bit of a montage with various things that I tried, mostly very unsuccessfully. Now I've never used the EMP before, and it does say in the tooltip that it's short range. I didn't realise just how short a range it was. So I was trying to do this with just a couple of EMPs and a couple of smart guns as a way of getting through the shields on these exhaust ports, and then using the smart guns to, you know, destroy the exhaust port. That's, yeah, that turned out to be something that really wasn't working too well for me, coupled with the fact that we were taking a lot of incoming damage, and given we were only equipped with 2 smart guns, it did make it very hard to stay on top of the respawns for these, you know, Botnak fighter aircraft. I mean, look at that. They've chewed through my shields twice here, and my plane has taken quite a bit of damage as well. So this little recipe is definitely not working. And look, on a different aircraft design, maybe it might work, I don't know. But the whole being fast and making tight turns is definitely part of our problem. So we're having a bit of a think, and we're trying to work out what our options are moving forward. Now, the whole side turret thing wasn't working with the grenade launchers. The whole, you know, underbody thing wasn't working. We still want to be able to point our weapons in a slightly different direction than our direction of flight. So we've gone back to this, you know, turret sitting on top of the aircraft, and you can see the obvious advantages that it has. It's so much easier to bring the weapons to bear, and if I can bring the weapons to bear on the fighters easily, then that is going to help us stay on top of them. It's going to mean that we're going to keep our shields up, and it's going to give us more time to actually get some stuff done with regard to this mega drill. So, I mean, this looks like a reasonably winning formula. However, it's got one fatal flaw. Anyone care to guess what that fatal flaw might be? If you guessed me as the fatal flaw, you're 3/4 right, and I'll award you a bonus point for that. But the other part of the fatal flaw, you can see the smart guns are locked on at that range, but the EMP isn't. The range on the EMP lock-on is ridiculously short. So while this looks like a winning formula, because the EMP range is just appalling, yeah, this arrangement's just not going to work. So we do persist with it for a moment longer, but yeah, there's more changes coming. So now we've given up on EMPs at this stage. They're clearly not compatible with our modes of combat. And with some messing around, I managed to get myself 3 smart guns and a rocket launcher set up on our little turret on the top of the plane. Now, that definitely sounds like it could be a pretty good formula. Give me a thumbs up if this is the route that you would take. Well, I was going to say that flyby actually went extremely well, but I'll downgrade that to just well because we got EMP'd, so we lost our shield there for a little bit, but it's nothing that we weren't able to recover from. And I have to admit, I'm not sure why I didn't elect to go down the rocket launcher route from the get-go. I think I had reservations about how slow the rockets were flying and maybe they'd get, shot down or something, but all of that was completely unfounded, and this does seem to be a winning formula. My flying skills, on the other hand, definitely could do with a bit of work, so yeah. Anyway, the fight goes on, and let's see if we can wrap this one up. Yeah, we had some serious stalling out issues there. Like, once I got below a certain altitude, I just didn't have any altitude to lose to pick up speed again. So I thought, alright, let's drop one smart gun off and let's strap another engine to the front of the plane to see if we can fix that problem. Now, I'll give you one opportunity to see if you can see a hole in that plane. Okay, did you see the opening there? No? Okay, that engine that I added on is just dead weight because I didn't bind it to the same key bindings as the other 2 engines. So when I turn my engines on and off, that latest edition is just staying off. But it's worse than that because it's actually dead weight aerodynamically as well. It's actually less aerodynamic than the blocks that it replaced. So in reality, and I noticed this only on the replay, that our top speed as we were flying down from the overlook was about 30 kilometers an hour slower than what it was before. So I actually made this last bit of the fight harder, not easier, by trying to add that engine to the plane. So now, if you guessed that this session was recorded after a long day / week at work, yes, you would be 100% correct on that assumption. So, anyway, being the glutton for punishment that I am, we actually persist with this setup for a while. And, yeah, I'm not going to spoil the ending here, but you're going to have to wait and see for yourself. Yeah, we kind of messed that up a bit as well. I was panicking a bit because of all the rockets exploding, and then we lost our rear shields, and I thought any one of those rockets is going to take out half the plane, but then it didn't. So yeah, anyway, I flew myself into a great big pile of strife, otherwise known as lava. But as you can see, the fight does not reset. You just need to sort of get back into the fight as soon as you're able to. And as you can see here, now that we've got things a bit more sorted, we're not having too much trouble dealing with our issues. And by issues, I mean gigantic pain in the backside, mega drill, and all of the rockets it keeps throwing at us. Rockets. Woohoo! We killed the final mega drill. Woohoo! Alright, that was pretty damn awesome. Yeah, as you saw, there was a death indicator there. I don't know if it does that by default or we were just too close to the explosion when the mega drill exploded, but look, there's not really a death penalty. It just chucks you to your last respawn point, and that's the overlook here. And Master Sapo checked in with us. We're all good. We just have to go back and meet him for our final little wrap up. So here we are at Cloudpoke, and yeah, there be some big celebrations afoot because we saved the world. Yes, we did in fact save the world. I don't remember us having to save any cheerleaders, but we may have just bypassed that step straight to saving the world. So anyway, either way, it's a bloody awesome outcome, but we're not quite done yet. There's a bit of a final kind of wrap up, and that's what we have fast forwarded to here for. Oh, and there could be a life lesson in that for everyone. If Master Sapo can learn some humility, then there's hope for the world. Anyway, in terms of other things to be aware of, all of this footage was recorded and completed immediately prior to the most recent update. Mind you, when this goes live, this will be probably 6 weeks ago by the time you hear this. There was the update that enabled the sandbox mode for the Pioneers, so just for context, that hit about probably 2 days after I recorded this completion. So if things look slightly different, I would put it down to that. Now, I've reached the end of the episode and the end of the series. If you've enjoyed it, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed. I have plenty other series in the pipeline. Nothing for Trailmakers for the moment, but stay tuned, you never know. And until next time, my name is Rudimentary Rob. Thank you very much for watching, and make sure you have yourself an absolutely fantastic day.